How old are you?
24.
What sort of attributes do you think you have that have been able to help you make so much progress in such little time?
This week we're joined by Dean McMahon. Dean is the owner of Embassy Gym and is one of the youngest yet most successful gym owners in the industry right now.
We started as an open gym.
What is the profit margin of the open gym, just out of curiosity?
Upwards of. We actually expanded our space, moved into a larger facility, but left us room for having like small group PT.
So the actual place where you run it was an empty shell at the time. Did you have any hesitancies in your mindset that how am I going to sell these memberships when the gym's not there?
Yeah.
There's people that are much older that don't have a business of that size. You clearly possess some attributes that have given you this success.
We hope you enjoy this episode. This episode is brought to you by Wellbeing Fitness Education Center. Wellbeing Fitness help fitness businesses like you set up an education academy inside your business so you can qualify people on a level 2 or level 3 personal trainer certification. Teaching a personal training certification inside your business can add between 40 and up to £80,000 a year in additional revenue, and it also means you can educate and mold these students to be perfect fit employees specifically for your business, meaning you'll never have a staffing issue again. And all you need to do is teach the practical stuff. Wellbeing will provide and take care of all of the theory work. Plus, they will build out the marketing for you so you can get all the inquiries you need to fill up your first course. To find out more, click the link below this video inside the show notes or visit wellbeingfitnesseducationcentre.co.uk.
Dean, thank you so much for coming down all the way from Ireland to be with us today in the FMA studio. How are you doing?
Yeah, good man. Good trip over this morning.
Nice.
So yeah, feeling good. Glad to be here.
Perfect. Let's dive in. Can we first of all tell me the name of the business, the services you have, because I know there's a few different things going on at the same time, and the overall price point of the services?
Yeah, cool. So we're at Embassy Gym in Carrick Cross. We started as an open gym, and as you know, then we moved into kind of our coaching models. So we began by moving our open gym to like a hybrid model of coaching, kind of like online coaching with a gym. Then we actually expanded our space and moved into a larger facility, and we left us room for having like small group PT. So now we do small group PT and we do our open gym. We do some large group, but mostly the large group comes down to the PT clients getting a large group in their sessions or in their packages.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how it works. So our PT at the minute, depending on obviously what package you're on, goes from either 217 for 2 PTs per week, and actually free access to engine classes and all them larger group. If the next package up is what you're choosing, you're going 247, and the next one up is 277. That's 3 sessions and 4 sessions.
Okay, cool. And just quickly, how much was the open gym membership?
The open's 55 per month.
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
Cool. And how many open gym members do you have at the moment? You've started small group PT as of 9 months ago, I believe. So it's recently quite new in the business. So how many open gym members, how many small group members are you currently serving?
So open gym hovers around the 300 mark all the time, roughly. We're going to put a bit more focus on that later in the year and try and grow it a little bit too, as we kind of separate the two. PT, we're at 105 members currently. That's full-time members. Yeah. And then we have about 37 on trial at the minute for that. So that's our
awesome.
6-week front end.
Yeah, and to have grown that in just 9 months is really, really good. Like 105, core members with 30, you said 37 trialists.
On trial as well.
Okay,
so,
brilliant. Yeah, that's really, really good. And based on the conversion rate, which we'll get to a little bit later on, it sounds like you're going to have close to 140 very, very soon.
Yeah,
so we'll see. How many team members are currently in the business?
Yeah, so just as this week now, we've got 8 total.
Cool.
So,
nice. And what are their kind of roles? We'll kind of overlay it now, and then later on we'll dive into it a bit more. But so you've got yourself, and then who are the other team members? Yeah,
so myself, I look after basically everything still, in a sense. A little bit of everything, but it's trying to get me, as it was said earlier on, kind of out of the day-to-day a little bit and kind of more helping everybody be able to take on more themselves. Then we have Sophia, which is kind of our head of admin and sales, and she's doing a really good job with that. We have Katie.
She's full-time sales.
Yeah, so admin and sales,
yeah. So you were selling, and now she is doing that for you.
100%, yeah. So she does all the sales basically.
Great, we'll dive into that as well at some point,
Cool, and then we're saying it on too, we streamlined the business a bit more. So we have one coach now looking after front end, which is Katie. And it's really helped us bring up our conversion rate and the quality of that front end, and like kind of, I suppose, the quality of client we get out of the front end into the back end is good too. Then we have our coaches like Dara, who joined us. He joined us earlier in the year. I'm not too sure how long he's there now, but Dara's killing it. He's come from kind of a college background, his first time really coaching PT, and his confidence and everything has come up really good, so he'll be a really key player soon. We have actually my father, who I was lucky enough to employ recently. He's 59 now. He has about 30, 40 years of management experience behind him in like big factories and stuff like that. So like at one point he might have 60 people underneath him. So to have him now on board as like gym manager and stuff like that is really, really good. We have 2 new coaches, Shauna and Jack, in as well. And we have Mary, who's been with us a long time. Mary's kind of more part-time because she's in college and stuff at the minute, but a really, really good young coach as well. So hopefully when she's out of college, she'll go more down that route as well. And yeah, that's the 8 of us at the minute.
Nice, awesome. And we'll kind of dive into those specific roles, because there were a couple that you mentioned there. One, your salesperson, admin, but 2, also the person that focuses purely on front end to back end there. But we'll go down that a little bit later. Roughly, what's the kind of monthly recurring revenue? Let's say if you didn't make any front end sales, roughly.
So we're talking recurring about 30k.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And then what? And then with the kind of sales on top, what was you're doing a month? Would you say?
With
all services combined, if you chuck all together,
around the 50.
Okay, nice, cool.
So
and that's with open gym, that's with small
everything
group
included.
Yeah, and so small group in isolation currently is doing around 30. You say?
Yeah, 30 and then plus like front ends.
Okay, cool. And then with the open gym combined, about 50. Yeah. There, and it was interesting. You were actually telling me that the profit margin on open gym is really, really good.
Yeah, it's nothing to be laughed at.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's such a low touch model, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was originally a plan to get rid of open gym, but for us to keep developing, let's say, our coaching and be able to take risks with it and like maybe slightly overstaff to make sure the quality is very high.
Yeah.
It gives us such a good kind of base to have a bit of confidence when we're, let's say, making a new hire or even higher and above what we think we can currently hire, just to make sure that product continues to grow. Having that base of like pure profit, let's say, from the open gym, to mean that we're not going to miss payroll, we're not going to miss rent, none of that crack, we can kind of take them risks.
Yeah.
And even for myself, a bit of peace of mind when I'm thinking of growth. I'm like, right, I have a good kind of base here that's almost guaranteed revenue if all else fails. Has been quite good in the growth so far. So yeah, so in terms of risk taking, it's just nice to know that you have that.
You've got that income coming in and the profit there as well. And to, as we were speaking earlier, to throw that away just doesn't seem like the best idea. When you can you can still grow the small group so much more with the current setup, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, like we're probably at capacity, to be honest, at the minute. So we are. So we have a few changes coming later in the year. But
so that's what when you make those changes, you're going to do, then you can grow it a lot.
Yeah, we have room to grow. Do you know what I mean? We have room to grow both of them together. So I think the cut would be crazy, and we're also the only open gym in town. So I think I'd have a lot of people chasing me down the street if I close that place. So I enjoy it myself too, you know. So the fact that we have the opportunity to keep it, I think it's crazy not to.
And what is the profit margin of the open gym, just out of curiosity?
Actually don't have that. Yeah, it varies depending. Like basically, the only staffing we need on the open gym is like front of the house.
Yeah.
But we can have the front of the house who's always looking after the admin and sales at the same time. Do you know what I mean? Because we have an access system where people can let themselves in through a thing called Keezy. It's like an app on their phone. So yeah, it's probably upwards of 80-90%.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah,
it's quite good. It's very low touch. The fact that we're in the same unit as our PT gym, we don't really have to do anything different with it, so it just looked after itself really.
And kind of describe the layout of the gym, because obviously you've got both open gym and then now the new model, and we'll go into why you decided to do that a little bit later, but just kind of describe the gym setup, and we'll overlay some clips of this so people can see if they're watching on YouTube or watching on Spotify, but kind of run through the layout of the gym for us.
Yeah, cool. So basically we're just a big warehouse. That's it. So you walk in the front door, and from the outside it looks like it could be a factory, it could be anything. We have our signs on it, but you walk in, we've got like a patio door, you've got reception on your side, and you can see literally down the whole way to where the PT area is at the back. So you walk in, the first thing you see is the open gym, obviously our reception area, then open gym. We've got like our change rooms, facilities and stuff over to the side. So basically from the front, if you didn't know what was happening down the back, you would just think we're one massive warehouse style open gym. So you've all the machines, dumbbells, all the bodybuilders in doing whatever they do. And then if you go on down the back, we have kind of our private like closed off PT area. So we got black box indicated out, we have our full our kind of high racks, we have the wall targets, all that crack, so we can do a bit of like conditioning work, high rocks work, all the different stuff at the same time. In terms of like proportion of the gym, it's probably 1/3 of the gym is PT, and 2/3 then is our open gym, which when you look at kind of like revenue and stuff doesn't make sense either, because it's probably exactly the other way around, do you know? But effectively when you look in, you just see this big warehouse. It looks really cool, to be fair, but when we're trying to push PT and you have someone come through the door for the first day and all they see is a load of bodybuilders in front of them, it can be quite intimidating.
I gotcha.
So that's what we're trying to kind of change around at the minute, I guess.
Yeah. And what was how long were you thinking about changing the model for? obviously you went for open gym, and obviously it turns over a nice amount and great profit.
Yeah.
What was the reason for you thinking about adding another model? Was it something that you weren't happy with? What's the story there?
Well, I suppose even though it's profitable, revenue wise, it's not massive. Do you know what I mean? Like, even though there's good profit to it, it's not a massive revenue for trying to grow a business. Do you know? So that's something had to be added to it. I suppose when I started with the guys at Gym Owners Network, as you know, Jens and Ollie, we were kind of looking at ways, because I had no space time to put in a coaching facility. It was a different unit I was in. We're like, how can we increase the revenue without just trying to increase membership numbers, because we're going to run out of that too. So we introduced what we call the hybrid model, which was basically online coaching in the open gym. So people were getting coached, they were getting check-ins. They had their own programs on our app. We use an app called Kahunas, and that got us probably about 60 to 70 members on that. It gave us enough kind of, I suppose, revenue in the bank to try and look for new sites.
Yeah.
And for me, coming from a coaching background, coaching was something I always wanted to do. And the more I kind of got into the whole gym ownership style of things, I wanted to get back into that coaching, because with an open gym, effectively all you have to do is sit behind the counter and let everyone in and out. Do you know what I mean? So there was nothing. Not that there was nothing to it for me, but I wanted something else from it. I wanted more of a community and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was working with Jens and Ollie, and then obviously yourselves eventually, to get things off the ground and find that new site. It was just no brainer. I had to go back into the coaching.
And so the first step was the hybrid membership that you introduced, which was £150. They have the open gym, they have an access to a plan, and so it gave them some structure. But that's not something you do anymore. So
no.
What were the kind of lessons that you learned from introducing that product?
Well, the first thing was that, you know, there was demand for coaching locally. Yeah. Big time. Do you know what I mean? Because when we did introduce it, we sold it pretty well, pretty fast. The other thing was, with that kind of, I suppose, approach to coaching in the online kind of sense, people took a very like short-term challenge mindset to it, and retention wasn't that good. We were always getting new people in the door, but they were thinking it more of like a 12-week challenge than a coaching program, because it was so low touch and they were getting meal plans and that. So in terms, and even community building, because it wasn't, let's say, group sessions, or they weren't being coached one-to-one, there was no real community growing from it too. So I think it scratched the itch of like me coaching again, but it wasn't really enough for me either. So and our big thing is like trying to create as much impact locally as possible. It just wasn't doing that, and it worked for some people who like maybe don't like the group setting, or just like being left alone, or come in at odd times and stuff like that. It did work for them people. But in terms of where we want to take embassy, I think it just taught us what we didn't want to do in terms of coaching. Do you know?
Yeah. So there was definitely lessons learned, and one of them that there's a demand for people to pay a premium for a coach-led service, and if there's people that are going to pay $150 for a plan and access, then there could be people that would pay well over €200 for actually a coach-led service.
100%.
So was it you that decided you wanted to do small group, or was it did you approach Gymowner Network saying, here's the business, what should I do? Like, what kind of came first?
I suppose, like me kind of missing the aspect of coaching one-to-one. It was like, right, what way can I do this in a scalable fashion? Do you know what I mean? Instead of just taking one-to-one PTs in and like having one person per hour and having a load of PTs working for the embassy, and it just wasn't, I couldn't see it growing that well. And a lot of gyms do that approach, but I didn't really like it. And I feel like people have to pay too much for a one-to-one session as well when they get the same quality in an SGPT session. Do you know, like people pay crazy money for one-to-one sessions where they get the same session in a group setting. The gym does as well, they do as well, and there's more community to it. So I guess kind of as I got more kind of involved with Marathon and the boys over there and seeing what they were doing, that kind of like got me thinking, oh, this is something to this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had previous thought of small group probably before that, and I didn't think it was what it is. I thought of it as classes. Do you know what I mean? Whenever I'd hear SGPT, I'd be thinking, oh, it's just classes. Like I didn't actually value it myself until I started seeing what like the guys in Marathon were doing and the other guys in Gym Owners Network, seeing the quality of the sessions. I was like, oh, there is something to this, and it can be done really, really well. So yeah, so it was through working with Jens for a few months, discussing how we're going to do it, how to get that quality, even out of the coaches and what coach I need and who else need in the business to do that. Once you got the space, it was just like, yeah, let's do it. Do you know?
I think what's really, really cool is that in 9 months, you've eclipsed the revenue that you were making for the open gym with small group in just 9 months, which is pretty insane, right? So definitely made the right move in terms of the space you've got. How can you make the most out of it?
Yeah.
Because you could have tried to double the amount of if you doubled the amount of members you had for open gym, you still wouldn't be making more than you are with the small group.
No.
And that would have been a real uphill battle.
Oh, yeah. Like I I don't think I'd be there now. Do you know what I mean? No, I wouldn't be there now. Do you know? And yeah, I think even if I got there, I wouldn't be happy with it because it still wouldn't have what I'm looking for.
Yeah, so there's two factors to it, right? It's the revenue profitability of the business, but also the fulfillment for you as a person who wants to create impact. Because as you said, like sitting behind a desk and watching people train, and then you've got coaching people and actually having that real
100%
impact right there.
Yeah, and like we've been able to do like run clubs and stuff now, and like game days and like even like hikes and stuff. And like for me, is like realistically being a gym owner, it has to fulfill you. Do you know what I mean? Because if you're spending like yourself, like gym owners spend a hell of a lot of time working. Like from the second you wake up till the time you're going to bed, you're answering emails, you're doing this. If it doesn't give you something, why do it? Do you know what I mean? Like profit aside and money aside, it still has to, it's a 7-day a week, 365 days a year job. You have to get something from it. So for me, when I walk into the gym, it's like having 300 friends, do you know what I mean, to do stuff with. So it takes away from the kind of, like, I don't mind working 15-16 hour days because it's a good buzz.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I feel like if I had went down that open gym route, even if we did do amazing with it and double the members, I still would kind of be like, I'm missing something. You know, and I feel like what we've brought to the town with the group training and what we've been doing in Embassy has been great for the town as well. It never really had anything like that before. So on both ends, aside from like money, it's been sensational. Yeah.
And walk me through the process from the moment you've decided to pull the trigger on small group training, because it's different. It's a different and unique challenge for you specifically because you had an existing business. So rather than here's a space we're going to do group coaching, which is a little bit more straightforward. We've got one existing business here. How do we put this in alongside it? Make sure there's no interference, let's say, and we can also deliver really good quality there. So what was kind of, I would love you to walk me through the steps that you did with Gymowner Networks. I know they were massively helpful in the small group model and everything you do now. Let's walk through that process.
Yeah, so when I look at it now, it's kind of mad because I was selling small group while still in the other facility with no small group facility before we opened. So you pre-launched the small group inside the facility, and was that just to the existing members inside the gym? No, we actually started the gym launch campaign.
Okay, with us.
Yeah,
okay, brilliant.
So
cool.
what I was selling was an empty unit down the road.
Yeah.
So I had never done small group PT in my life before.
Yeah.
So I think we maybe opened with like 40 trialists to me on that campaign, something like that. But people were literally coming into the gym I was currently in, which was just a bodybuilding gym. And I was selling them open gym, or I was selling them small group PT.
Yeah, and so the actual place where you run it was an empty shell at the time.
Yeah.
But you sold 40, was it 6 week?
I think we got 47 6-week trialists.
Lovely stuff. Yeah. And what was the price point for each of those sales?
297.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
So about €300 times 47.
Yeah.
A lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. But a lot. Yeah, it was a lot of pressure because I was like, right, I've sold all these memberships and I still don't have a gym, and they're all starting in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
We actually done the conversion of the gym in about 72 hours.
Yeah.
So we moved everything from the current gym.
Really? Wow.
Kitted it all out. Yeah, it was no sleep. Really no sleep. But so basically what I done was I told Jen, right, we have this podcast secured. Got on to Chris, who was on the podcast actually from Black Box.
Yeah.
And we done out the render and we figured out where we needed to be in terms of like how much space needed for these 2 PT slots, for the open gym, for chain rooms, got everything set up. And basically if someone wanted to know what we were doing, all I had was that render. That was it. Up until like a week before we opened. So I had an empty shell, I had a gym currently running, and we closed from Thursday to Sunday, and Sunday was the opening day. So on Thursday, the new gym was empty completely, 5,000 square foot of just empty space. And we opened on Sunday, which is intense. So we basically got in touch with Jens, got the layout sorted, and then he actually put me on to you guys. So he was like, right, you're going to do a launch with FMA. And I was like, I have no idea what that is. So we learned more about that. I hopped on a call with Luke, we got set up and we got the gym launch campaign set up. My first time ever doing like Facebook ads. And because it was the first time in the area that anyone ever done Facebook ads, it blew up. It was mad. People were sick of seeing me. But I think we got 250 or 60 leads in that like first 3 weeks, which was mental.
And then 47 ended up becoming customers. So
yeah, and then probably a few off the back of that when I rang them back as well. So probably got about 60 to 70, I'd say, trials from that.
Nice. That's incredible. And I think this is a good time to potentially do a mini segue into sales, because a couple of really key points there is the amount you sold for, without having the gym ready. And this is what it always goes back to this. Like we always say from a marketing and sales point of view, you're not selling the gym. You're not selling the facility. You're not selling the showers, the changing room, the community, or anything like that. And if you want proof, you literally sold 47 or in total 60 when it wasn't there.
It didn't exist.
They walked in some of it didn't exist and still handed over money. So the question is what is it they actually want? And the answer is they want to make a change in their life of some sort. It could be emotional, it could be mental, obviously it could be physical as well. But your job as a salesperson isn't to say, hey, look at our shiny kit. It's to instill confidence in the consumer that you can help them make the change you want. And my next question is, did you have any initial hesitancies in your mindset that how am I going to sell these memberships when the gym's not there?
Yeah, definitely. I think I remember when I first ever called and I was like waiting, like when it's ringing and ringing and ringing, I was like, what am I going to say? Like, what am I actually going to do here? But as you said there, like it's the same as I've been PTing myself a long time before that and like online coaching. It's the same as doing any consultation. It's not about the gym. It's not about, I've never ever been asked what dumbbells I have, even though it's very important.
Yeah, that's it. It's very important to have a great facility and good kit and a great service and a great product. Yeah. But it's just from the perspective of when you are marketing and selling it, that stuff doesn't really come into the equation. Once they walk through the door, then yes, incredibly important. But before that, doesn't really matter.
It's literally it's listening to them. It's it's literally just listening to them. As like Luke says, like it should be like 90% them, 10% you. And that's something I struggle with because I can talk for all day if you let me. But once you slow it down and just hear that person out and they feel like they've been heard, and you're like, right, cool, I have a solution for you. If you've done everything right and you've done your marketing right beforehand, you have that bit of reputation, it's a sure bet. But yeah, you don't need to be telling them how good your equipment is, how good your toilets are, or how clean maybe how clean the place is, or how good your staff are. It's like, right, you've got this problem, I heard it fully and I've offered this solution, and if you've done that properly and they feel like they've been heard, why would they not go with it,
Yeah, and all those things you just mentioned, the cleanliness, the staff being friendly, these are all the expectations. Like they're not things to necessarily show off about. Those are just the bare minimums that you should have.
If you don't have that, you shouldn't be on the call in the first place. That's just like the rules of the game. Yeah,
and something we were talking about off the podcast, so we were having a conversation about mentality around bad leads, and you said something really good. Like if you're speaking with someone for over 3 minutes on the phone, they want some sort of solution, or they want to buy they want something. They're not just there for a laugh, right?
100%. And probably on like that first kind of campaign too, I was probably not as good now as I am with handle objections and stuff like that. So if I got someone to call, I could be on the call 20 minutes and they were like, I have to think about it, I would just be like, all right, cool, see ya. Whereas now it's like, oh, what do you want to think about, and based off what you said, like, and just it's I think I probably thought of sales in a kind of a sleazy way back then as well. Whereas now it's like, if I don't quote unquote sell this person, I can't change their life. Yeah. I know I can. So it's like, if I let them off the phone knowing that I could have actually made their life exponentially better, that's actually like an injustice on my behalf.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Because like, they just told me that they're sad that they can't play with their kids, or don't want to be a bad role model for the kids, or out of breath walking up the stairs and stuff that you don't want anyone to be dealing with. They just told me all that. So if I let them go and continue doing that when I actually could change all that for them, it's crazy. Yeah. So yeah, I suppose digging deep on that has been a game changer. But it's not in a way of me or the gym trying to like get more members or make more money. In a sense, it's like trying to create as much impact as possible.
Yeah.
If you think of it that way, it's easy.
And when you can actually help them as well, like it's your duty to sometimes ask those uncomfortable questions, right? We were just speaking again off the podcast, and a client of ours, Tom and Sam Jarrett, who have a couple of facilities, and I was saying that there was a guy he was speaking to, and he was really keen. He was like, yeah, I'm going to sign up, and my wife's going to sign up as well. Give me a call tomorrow. The next day came round. He didn't pick up. He sent a WhatsApp, and the guy messaged say, hey, I'm actually too busy to commit to this right now. And he was stumped, and he went to Luke, our sales coach, who you referred to, and he was like, this guy's not a good lead. And it's like, well, he was a very good lead yesterday. What's changed today? Sometimes you just need to question people and maybe not be scared to potentially offend people. Yeah. And he wrote out a message for Sam to send via a voice note, and it went along the lines of something like this, like, hey, this isn't actually his name, but like, hey, John, really confused. 24 hours ago, we had a conversation on the phone and you told me that you hate yourself at the moment and how you look. And now 24 hours later, you're saying you're too busy to change that. Like, I'm not actually sure, maybe you are actually going to be a good fit for what we do based on what you've just told me. And then after that message, the guy filled in the link, paid for himself and his wife. But it was just, to dare to send that message, which is, it seems a bit risky to send, right? But it helped someone have a realization to actually go and sign up and actually pay that money. And now those people are going to be positively affected. And it all goes back to what you said there, right? It's not about being sleazy. It's about helping people to be better.
100%. And it's like, it's not even like, as I try and like get across to the coaches too, like by us helping somebody, we're not only making their life better, but their kids' lives getting better. The people who have to deal with them, their lives getting better, their colleagues. It's creating this like widespread thing. And if we don't get them in the door, we can't do that. And by doing that, we've actually seen like even the town itself, like people are like way fitter than they used to be in terms of like people are getting running, and they're kind of being inspired by what we're doing, and seeing how active the town has become. People who have joined Embassy, it kind of spreads too. And even if they go somewhere else, that's fine because it is having an impact. But yeah, I think you know how you buy yourself. If you look at how you buy yourself, like there's times where like I think you were explaining like earlier on about having an online coach, and like 1 week you're like, yeah, I'll get that done, and next thing you're like, no, I'm not going to bother. You have these like dips and troughs. So the underlying thing is that you do want something done. It's just like motivation changes. So if you can dig underneath the motivation, that's when you're going to get somebody, do you know?
Yeah. And going back to what you were referencing of what I said. So I was thinking about doing online coaching for a few months, and there were times where I was like, I really want to do it, and the next day I was like, I'll do it in a month. And then it was like peaks and troughs of interest, and eventually I decided to do it. And that's how everyone behaves on a weekly basis. They're motivated but not motivated. This happens, that changes their outlook on something, and they're consistently changing. So when you look at inquiries, and going back to that reference of Sam Jarrett, who sold that guy, he was a very good lead at one point. The next day he wasn't, and then he was. So it's not that you have a bad inquiry; it's that you have these like peaks of interest from people, and it's 100%. Your job to be able to increase their interest based on you being able to listen and understand and push them in a certain direction that's going to be able to help them. Yeah,
people just want to feel like you understand too, do you know what I mean? Because they probably went 5-10 years with nobody understanding. So if you can be that block in the road and be like, no, hold on a second, just stick with me for a second, and get them past that, you can change your life. But I feel like even with the like peaks and troughs, the truth always is they do want to make a change.
Yeah.
Even on the good days, the bad days, doesn't matter. They still do want to make a change. And obviously the earlier they make that change, the more beneficial it's going to be for them. So it's just like we've started going back and calling old leads and stuff like that. And you do get a lot of people who are like, yeah, that day you rang me, the car broke down. Do you know what I mean? Something like that could have happened. Whereas like they filled in the form and it was the best day of their life. They drove home from work that day and they got a puncture, and next thing they didn't want to talk to you.
Yeah,
that could be something as simple as that, But yeah,
most people just assume that person's not interested.
Yeah, and I would have.
Yeah. They don't actually know that something's happened, and and when you actually are quite consistent with following up with your leads. And something else we were talking about earlier was making the most of the leads that you've already got. So meaning that even leads that have opted in a month, 2 months, 3 months ago, you're still following up, and you've had sign-ups from those people, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like we go back through, obviously, like if we use your funnels or whatever we're using, go back through like the details of them. And like I think people appreciate too, like we always take notes and like our calls and stuff like that, so people appreciate if you ring someone back in the month, like, hey, last month you told me you were struggling with X and Y, and just like not even like, do you want to come to the gym? It's like, well, how are you getting on with that? And just like by opening up a conversation, you can get them back into that, like, oh yeah, like I really should have made a change that time, and maybe even this time they're more ready to make a change. Do you know? And if you don't do that call, they're going to go somewhere else, because they are ready again. But I think it's having the confidence to ring someone twice was a big thing for me.
Yeah.
If someone didn't answer or shut me down or whatever, I'd be like, right, that person hates me. Not ringing them again. But it's not that.
Yeah, and the more conversations you have, the more sales you make, and the power of speaking to someone that you spoke to 3 months ago can be huge, especially if you may have notes of that person inside the CRM, or you've taken a note down, because it could be like, hey Jenny, last time we spoke 3 months ago, you said you were in this situation, X, Y, and Z. Like, how's that going for you? And because it's been 3 months, there's been 3 months more of that person sitting in that situation.
Yeah.
So when you can like call back and reference, it's huge. And so many people don't like sales, and they don't like the thought of calling a lead that opted in a week ago, let alone a month or 2 months ago. But these are the activities that you've done to build a 30K a month business inside an existing business in just 9 months. Like there's people that have owned a gym for years and years and years and aren't anywhere near 30K, and it's because of the beliefs they hold around sales. So the reason I'm saying this is to give credit to you for you followed instructions, you've made the phone calls, you've been persistent with the leads when they come in. I imagine calling them multiple times, calling them months after they've actually opted in, and you have the rewards of what those efforts give you.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's doing it at whole effectively. You know, you guys aren't telling us this stuff for the crack.
Yes.
You know, it's not a joke. But I guess even like for me, as I was telling you earlier on, for me, I would find it hard sometimes with like the really emotional attachment to the business, in terms of like being afraid to offend somebody or something like that, even though I'm not trying to offend anyone, just trying to like dig a little deeper. Whereas having somebody else in sales now has made that a lot easier, because obviously like anyone that works for your business has less attachment to the business than you do. Do you know, like I live and breathe it. They get to go home and forget about it, which is, I'm sure is lovely. But it's really worked. And like I was saying, Sophia, she's been absolutely killing the calls, going by the script obviously from Luke. And yeah, it's just having the confidence to, not even the confidence, the understanding of why you're calling that person.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
You're not trying to sell them, you're trying to change their life.
And we'll dive into Sophia and how you've got her in the position you have, because again, you've been able to get yourself out of a very valuable task and have someone do that for you, which means that while you're, away, sales can be made, which is huge. And we'll get to that in a little bit, because I want to go back to, we had the pre-sale, we sold the memberships, which is why we segued to sales. You turned around the gym in 72 hours. You had it kitted out by Black Box.
Yeah.
Cool. And in terms of like the layout of that gym, was it Black Box who helps you, who are also partners with FMA, or was it Gymowner Network? Was it both? Did they collaborate with you? Did you have your vision? Like, how did you? Because I think when people have their first gym, they just say, let's kit it out like this, and there's no thought behind it.
Yeah.
But I imagine that your layout has a bit more thought behind it because of the people who are helping you.
Yeah, so when it came to the actual collaboration of it was kind of my idea first, literally drawn out on like a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Then I sent that to Chris, and he was like, and then we kind of put that together, and I sent to Jens, and he's like, give him more changes, and I sent that back to Chris. It was kind of collaborative, but I guess like it's come from like, I've been technically a gym owner in a sense for a number of years, in terms of I always had my own PT studios.
Yeah.
So I started off like renting a little rack in this guy's gym when I was like 19, 20. Then I moved down the road a little bit and started renting like a space in the bottom of a gym. It was my own kind of space, my own rack and stuff like that. So I was PTing in my own area. Then I moved town, actually, to my local town with an ex-business partner, and we set up a larger facility actually in one half of the previous embassy, which was like we were both individual, independent, one-to-one coaches sharing effectively a shed with a couple of racks and stuff like that. So through all that, I've kind of learned what I need for coaching. Do you know what I mean? And so when it came to like designing the small group area, for me it was like, right, I know what I need, I just don't know how much of it and what way space technically works and stuff. And then I suppose the open gym, I knew what I wanted to look like. Yeah. I knew what the vision was. But then let's say I went to Chris, I think originally I wanted like 4 PT zones, and he was like, okay, cool. And I went to Jens, he was like, slow the hell down. You don't need 4 PT zones, we're doing 6-to-1.
Yeah.
You're never going to have a starting off, you're not going to have, like 24 people doing small group PT at one time, and it's going to be too crowded, and you're better off in a bit of space to kind of learn how to move around the room and stuff. And he's 100% right. So took that back to Chris, we actually changed down to 2 PT zones.
So you can do 2 sessions at a time and train, it'll be 1 to 6 and 12 people training.
Exactly, yeah. So we have like 6 a.m, 7 a.m, 9:30, 10:30, 4:30, 6 and 7 in the evening. And always 2 coaches running side by side. And it works really well because there's loads of space. The members feel really comfortable. We feel really comfortable able to move around the room. There's room for equipment to move around. It's really good. I suppose now at capacity we're like, right, what to do? So we have to make changes. But it was a collaboration, I suppose, and it's having people like that and like yourselves and stuff who deal with loads of our gyms, have seen it in place so many times in terms of marketing, in terms of gym design, in terms of like product development. Having, like, for me personally, like having you guys and I'd say Chris even to refer to sometimes, and Jens and Ollie, has just been a game changer. I'd say that's why we've had so much growth in the last 9 months, is just like listening to people who know and taking advice, do you know?
Yeah, so because again what you've done is build a business quite quickly to quite a high number. But as you've just highlighted, right, what you did is you just went to the experts. You went to the experts for equipment who helped you lay out. You went to the experts for as gymowner network to help you with the product, for service, for delivery, and so much more. You came to us for marketing to help get the people through and get it signed up. So every aspect, you've just gone to people that know what they're doing, and they've all contributed, and this is the end result. Had you done this on your own and not had help from gymowner network, not maybe consulted with Blackbox, not had us, I wonder what it would have been like, right?
Yeah, wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
But no, it would have been like look, you will learn stuff obviously, but like it's more so like when I meet a problem now, I have people I can refer to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can literally shoot Jen a text and be like, here, what the hell do I do here? And it's such a simple fix. It's something I probably thought of but was unsure of. Do you know what I mean? Or like if I've got a problem with sales, I can reach out to you guys, or marketing, the campaign's not working properly, can reach out to you guys and fix little things. Whereas like I think if all your like that can be fixed in a matter of minutes.
Yeah.
Whereas if I wasn't in that position, that could be fixed in a matter of weeks.
Yeah.
And that's like if you're, let's say, I'm not a competitive gym owner, but if you're competing with people and you're competing with someone who can fix the same issue you have in a minute, and it takes you 5 weeks, takes them 5 minutes, who's going to be in a different place in 9 months? Do you know what I mean? Or in terms of growth of the business, and how much more impact could you make if you're not stumbling over all these different things? Do you know?
Yeah.
It's like the difference in having a blindfold and not a blindfold, essentially.
I love that. Yeah.
But yeah, and look, it's obviously an investment. It does take away from your profit or your whatever, but for me, being, I suppose, young and stuff too, I'm that's where I see the most value is actually in having people like you guys and Gym Owners Network, and even the guys in the network to talk to. Like I was talking to Jerome earlier on and stuff, like having guys who are doing really well and have navigated things before, just shoot them a message and stuff, it's invaluable, do you know? But yeah, I suppose it's just like the speed at which you can learn is faster.
Yeah.
You know?
And so had all that help, got the members in, got the gym kitted out, and started servicing people. And you said it was 60 people initially started in that first intake, was it?
47.
Yeah. So 47 people started. What was the conversion rate of those initial 47?
I think it was 65.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, so this all goes back to that speed of you being able to get these results, because there's people that have been doing small group for a while who have been pursuing 65%, whereas the first intake of clients you had 65%.
Yeah.
And what is it you're up to now, conversion rate wise?
Well, the last 3 weeks have been 100%.
Yeah. Wow. That's
so
epic.
That's the highest it's ever been. It came from.
It's the highest. It's the highest it's ever going to get.
It can't get higher. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the numbers can get bigger, but I think like in Q2 we were about 55%.
Yeah.
And I was at that stage, I was stressing out. We'll talk more about that later, but I was like, what is going wrong here? It's a bit low.
Well, I'd love to dive into that actually, because I always think it's good to see why people are doing so well with a good conversion rate, but also when people's conversion rate gets lower, I love to dive and say, hey, what was going on here? Because I think there's probably more valuable lessons there than there is looking at the successes and
100%.
Us kind of celebrating those. So you had 65%, which is great. And then recently 100%, and then obviously it will average out at some point. But it then dipped in Q2.
Yeah, in Q2 it came down to 55%, and then we kind of went up to 80 and 100 now. But I think what was happening was I was getting so fixated and getting myself out of the weeds and just going like really hard on marketing and sales, and I was bringing in the wrong people essentially, because I was like, a sale is a sale, we'll take them in, we're trying to grow this thing, do you know? And we were speaking this actually earlier on, but like how we've like been really selective with the campaigns lately in terms of like, right, what actually aligns our values and not just volume. Do you know what I mean? So and even though, as you were saying earlier on, the leads have been less for us, the sales have been higher and the conversions have been higher, and the culture in the gym has just got exponentially better. So
I think, for example, like the strength campaign that you ran, which was like much more in line than, let's say, like a summer style campaign where someone wants a quick fix aesthetic result and then they're kind of out the door. Yeah. Because that's kind of what the message is, right? Whereas 100%. Strength camp, or maybe even beginners, that's like an on ramp to more.
Yeah. And even like the culture of like gyms we are previously, before kind of we came about, was always these like 6 week shreds and 12-week shreds, and it was never any really mention of like proper long-term coaching. Yeah. So people, no matter what you done, just assumed that's what you were doing, and they would come in with that mindset, and unless which we have now a really good product, they would leave with that mindset as well. And we did do the 2024 campaign and all that sort of stuff and got a lot of people in, but they were all people who were still thinking, right, I'm doing a 6 week challenge and then I'll never see you again. Yeah. That's what they were thinking from day one. So we were very selective. We went with Strength Camp, done really well, because our organic content was in line with it. Do you know what I mean? So that's what we were already posting about. So people were like, oh, right, they're actually doing what they're talking about. So, and people are aligned with that. We went with beginners next, and that really got a lot of people interested, because people like around us, and probably around everywhere, to be honest, are quite intimidated with the gym. So hearing themselves being called out, they're like, oh, they have something for me as well. So we've done really well with that. And like, because obviously I come from a one-to-one coaching background, our coaching, even in the groups, we obsess over one-to-one coaching. So they got a really good like product, and then they stayed from that too, because like, oh, I found somewhere where I feel really comfortable, I can progress, I know the coaches, I'm getting a one-to-one session every time I come in. We then, what we doing at the minute, we went on to the 45s plus campaign, because that's where we see a lot of our demographic anyway. And as well as that, our organic marketing lines up with that. We talk a lot about like the importance of bone density, muscle mass retention, all these things as we get older. So everything just kind of really lined up with what we're doing. And even though the leads are definitely less, the sales are higher, conversions are higher, and we're doing what we're doing. So
kind of bringing in more of the right people for your business. And I think because there's so many campaigns you can pick from, right? And some are going to be great for you, and some are going to be less aligned with you. But then it's just finding the right ones for 100%. You that's going to be there. And when you were at that 55, so one factor was, you know, a lot of people coming in for the quick fix and then just leaving. Were there any but you also said you were getting out of the weeds and focusing on sales, so was it also not just the bringing everyone in, but also your attention moving away from the service side and maybe more on sales?
100%.
But basically what I'm trying to get at, was there any service elements that dipped that caused that dip in conversion rate as well?
So a mix of the two. I took my eye off the ball, definitely. Do you know what I mean? I was obsessed with growth, but I didn't realise that you're not going to grow if there's a hole in the bucket at the bottom. You know? So retention numbers were pretty high as well. So I suppose in terms of the coaching, we were just thinking, right, we're getting really busy, let's like just get everyone through the sessions and all this. And we were kind of losing that one-to-one that we started with. That was the reason why we done so well. We kind of just got like, I suppose, complacent with it. Do you know what I mean? And kept moving forward. So I had probably not coached in a few weeks as well. There's just the coaching team were doing all the coaching. I wasn't doing enough performance reviews. We weren't having enough like good quality conversations off the floor. We were just coaching, coming in at a gym, thinking more about like the program and less with the people, and just kind of lost our what made us for a little period too, and getting then frustrated why numbers are going down. So I was like, right, if numbers are going out, I need to be pushing numbers in to try and maintain, and just got a bit lost. But when I actually took my eye off the front end a little bit, and not eye off, but focus off it and looked more at the product, our referrals started going up, which was putting back in the front end. Any campaign we did do was more successful because it was better like reviews from the gym.
Nice.
So by me looking back in, and I suppose getting back, I don't even really like the phrase getting in the weeds. It's not the weeds, just getting back into the day-to-day, and like really perfecting the product. It made the world of a difference. And even like, I suppose we upgraded the team a lot and spent a lot on CPD and different things like that for the team, and like really like tightened up on our meeting cadence and how deep those meetings go. We used to just have team meetings. Now as we're talking earlier on, my Mondays are full of one-to-one meetings. We also like we lined up the member journey with staff too, so it's really streamlined. So I look after the marketing, then Sophia looks after the sales, then so they've moved through me, they've moved through Sophia, then they're into Kate, who's looked after the front end. I'll touch on the front end in a minute. We've done a lot of upgrades to that as well. Then they go on to like a back end coach. So everyone's got their own role. They know what they're doing. They can get really, really good at it and not be overwhelmed with too many different things going on our end. And I think that like reduces stress for the client too, because if we're not stressed out, they're not going to be stressed out. But yeah, I think by me just looking back at the product and thinking, right, I can never sell something that doesn't work. There's no point in trying to keep selling here when there's clearly a problem. By hopping back in and working on that like pretty intensely for about a month or two, to the standard we have it at now, just made the world of a difference. And
it's you're so growth focused, but sometimes you've got to slow down to speed up, right?
100%. And it's not even slow down. It's just like, it looks like slowing down, but it's not, because it didn't slow down.
It actually makes you grow more because 100%. You fix the leak.
You fix the leak,
But it's like kind of metaphorically slowing down in terms of like, I'm not going to go as gun-ho on this. I'm going to focus more here, which will actually enable us to grow actually at an easier rate, because you 100%. Don't need to make as many sales.
And more confident in our growth as well, and like predictable. Like before that, it was like, you know, we get X amount of sales. I have no idea what the conversion's going to be on them because the quality was rough. I have no idea what the retention's going to be on them because, again, the same people that went through. Whereas now I know the product is very, very good. And it'd be kind of weird if someone didn't stay on, in a sense, unless they're a complete misfit for the company, which is very rare. because of how specialized our campaigns are now.
Yeah, and it's like it all kind of comes down to that product element, because like you were selling and now you've got a salesperson, but if your product was, let's say, converting the front ends at 20%, and the attrition was awful, and it was a bad product, how confident is that salesperson going to feel when they're speaking? Not at all, because they're going to hear about all the bad stuff. Let's say there's bad reviews, but let's flip that on its head. You've got an incredible product. You know it works. You've seen the impact it's had. You've seen the impact to the wider community even. When you're speaking to someone, you know you're going to be able to help them. And it's when you have that confidence in the product, that's when you can really unleash your sales ability. Because if you know you've got a really bad product and you're selling people in, that's where that kind of, let's say, the sleazy feeling comes in. You know, like 100%. You are a sleazy secondhand car salesman if you sell a rubbish secondhand car. Whereas if you're selling a great car, then you'll feel really good about it.
100%.
So it will actually amplify the sales that you make moving forward by actually focusing on the product.
100%.
It'll make your marketing easier. It will make the sales easier, make the growth easier. So when you can just refine that and get it better, everything else falls into place a lot easier.
And what we found is like a lot of the leads you get through, even it doesn't matter if it's paid or organic or whatever, they've heard good things with the gym. Do you know what I mean? So they're already, we'll call them 50% sold before they come near you, because they know somebody there. They've seen the stuff within the community. They've heard about us before, in like not only how we exist, but they've heard about the impact. So I suppose like by not focusing only on sales and just focusing on making something really, really good, that just like gives off its own vibration and people end up hearing about it. Do you know? So
and I think also that's where that the longer term marketing comes into play, because people think of marketing, and I would say that if, let's say, you're thinking at an amateur level, you're like, run ad, get a lead, make a sale. That's my marketing there. But actually, there's a longer term play to this, right? There's people that have viewed your content or seen your ads that will become a customer in 12 months' time. But they're not going to take any action up until month 11 or whatever that is. And then maybe they come on your list for a month and they don't buy straight away, but then they do immediately. And it's having that in place that gets you to the point where 50% of those leads already know who you are. Like they've seen some content, they've seen the content that you've been running as awareness ads.
100%.
They then maybe heard from a friend, and it's all these individual touch points that then get them over the line. And those are going to be the best customers as well.
100%.
Because they've been aware of you. They've got a lot of know, like, and trust. So they actually enter with more confidence rather than going, I've just paid, €300 for this. Is it going to work? They're going, I'm really looking forward to this because my friends have done it. I've seen it online, and I can't wait to get started.
100%. And like, if your first touch point with somebody is the call, that's a very hard call. If they've literally seen your ad and that's it, that's hard, because they don't know anything about the culture, don't know who they're talking on the phone. You could be literally sitting in your bedroom making a call, trying to sell something that doesn't exist. Whereas if they've seen the Instagram posts, they know somebody, they've seen us around town, run around our gear, doing our run clubs, all that crack. It's just a conversation, the phone read, to figure out what they need, and then it's just like, when do you want to start? You know, it's a whole different ball game. It's less stressful for sales. It's nicer for the person who's starting. They've just had a chat on the phone and they're like, can't wait to start now. It's way better. So I think playing the long game with marketing is something I've been learning lately, and I guess like you guys did in Media 365, like getting the organic posts that are doing well, just that little bit of a push to reach more people, and let people who don't necessarily, let's say, just people who maybe aren't in the habit of following pages or liking stuff or being on social media that often, get an idea of what we're doing without actually even following us. Is beneficial too. Do you know?
It's bizarre when you run ads that have zero expectation of a sale. You'll end up making more sales. It's kind of backwards, but it works. And this is what we're seeing. And at FMA and just in the gym marketing space, I consistently observe the marketplace, and I'm looking at where things are moving to. And people within FMA will have heard me say this. It's the ecosystem. It's the long-term game. And it's like, how can you? The more long-term game you play, the more edge you have over a competitor, because the short-term is only going to last for so long. If the more you invest in that, the more rewards you reap and the further ahead you'll get. So doing stuff like our Media 365 like awareness campaigns work phenomenally well, and most people won't want to do that type of stuff because you're spending money and not getting money back straight away. And logically you're like, if I put £1 out, I want to get £4 back. But there's almost like, this you have to have this optimistic delusion that this goodwill stuff you're putting out is going to have a return. You're never going to be able to directly attribute the return from that, but you know it kind of is working because you can see it.
100%.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and as I said, you can't let's say look at the Media 365 stuff and be like, right, how many leads did that get? How many sales did that get? You can't. But if your leads are going up, and so is the quality, and so is the sales, and then so is the back end retention, something's working.
Yeah.
And if you didn't change anything else, it's that.
Yeah.
Do you know? But I think what we're doing at the minute is like we took the whole team to a place last week for a branding kind of CPD session.
I saw this, yeah.
Yeah, so that company there, Soma, they done our website.
Nice.
And the guys are really good at brands. So I was like, and it's a lot of stuff that I've kind of learned off using stuff in terms of branding, and it was off Jen's and everything too. But I wanted the team to get exposed to that, and they're really close. So it's like, right, let's come across. And what they kind of learned from that was that like take like the big companies that have been around for ages, like everyone gives the example of Coca-Cola. They don't need to sell anymore because people just know. Do you know what I mean? You could put the bottle out there without a label and people are like, oh, it's Coca-Cola. So it's about building that brand, whereas like when somebody sees an ad, it doesn't even need to push them across the edge. It's just a reminder, oh yeah, Embassy's great, and that's cool.
Yeah.
Or like, I need to get fit, I'm going to Embassy. There's no question about it. So like playing that long game and just focus on how can we make everything we do such high quality that when we do ask or when somebody does need, we're just the obvious choice.
And the fact that in your area in particular, you know, you're the only open gym, but also you're probably the only people doing a run club, I imagine. You guys are just known as the fitness authority in that area that you are.
Yeah.
And doing stuff like that run club massively helps you because people probably see you running out on the street in person, they see the stuff on social media, and it all just adds overall to that brand.
100%.
I want to circle back to the front end conversion. It was at 55, you got it up to 80 and now 100, but it's over 60 and doing much better than it was beforehand.
Yeah.
And what is your onboarding process like? So customer signs up. What's the I don't even want to talk about the programming just yet. I just want to look at like the communication from the team, from that person day one to whatever the days are, and then them becoming a member. What does that look like for you?
So I've done this on so many whiteboards at this stage with like the leaks that could possibly happen and patching them, but basically we have a system called the Embassy Accelerator, and what we found was people who were losing, and was quite a lot of them for a while, weren't buying in. They weren't building the necessary accountability that they needed to continue, or weren't building the self-confidence in themselves to continue. So you're like, right, how do we patch this like self-belief problem almost? Like people are still coming week 4 and like, oh, I don't know if I'm really getting it yet. Or we're meeting them in week 4 review and they're like, I haven't really nailed nutrition yet. And we're like, right, surely there's something we can be doing here. Then people actually would stay if they nail that. So how can we fix that? So the Embassy Accelerator is like an acceleration of progress over the first 21 days.
Yeah.
And there's that, I don't know what study it was, but it's like 21 days to create a habit. So we're like, right, cool. 21 days, it's short. It rings a bell with people who've heard that before. Let's make something with that. So with the Accelerator.
Sorry, just to jump in. So if you sell a 6-week, they still have this 21-day accelerator period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So day 1, day 21 is Accelerator. Then on week 4, which is day 30, is their 4-week review. We look back on how they get on.
Okay.
And then like they have like the remaining 2 weeks to continue in trial. Yeah. But they've already usually signed up to a long-term membership at that stage.
Okay. So at week 4, you look to sell them
to a long-term
ongoing rather than week 6.
Yeah.
And then I guess
we used to do week 6.
Yeah, but also you can either get them in then, but if you did have any resistance, you can kind of have another go.
We have 2 weeks.
You got a couple
weeks to really show off.
They're either going to be really happy, go in, have some sort of potential concerns, which you then can maybe address, and then get them in later on down the line. Yeah, it's kind of like, I like that.
So I would say like, well, at the minute it's actually still quite high at week 4, but let's say we were at 80% conversion. Week 4 was probably like 50, 60.
Yeah.
And then week 6 we got them to 80. Do you know what I mean? So that's a total. Now it's probably 100. It's 90 to 100 on week 4. Because of how refined I think we've made Embassy Accelerator.
Yeah.
So what basically that is, it depends on the client, but let's say for the first 7 days, they'll send Katie across what was the food. So that's like the food issue sorted.
Yeah.
So we've got high accountability. She'll reply to them saying that's good, it's bad, thanks, whatever it is. Just some kind of form of contact.
Is she WhatsApping or is it for an app?
No, emails. So just send an email across.
So the client will email their food for the day, for the week?
Yeah, so Katie, it depends on what they're usually struggling with. If let's say on the initial consultation, they struggle most with like lunchtime at work. It's like, right, Katie's like, right, cool, send me your lunch at work every single day. So like, usually I end up going down to deli and getting something that's not good. It's like, right, cool, I want you to prep your food and send me your lunch every single day. So that's a bit of accountability for them. Morning time could be easy for them, night time could be easy for them, but that's the struggle point. That's what they'll send.
Yeah.
So they'll send that for the first 7 days, and then we try and stack that habit with something else. It's like, okay, let's send me your steps and the food.
Yeah.
And then send that for the next 7 days. And then it's like, right, let's send me your steps, your food, and 3 other activities you've done this week. So now they've got 3 things to send the following week. And by this point, they've had that many touch points with Katie, and probably, what have you got, 3 PT sessions a week. By 4, you've got like 12 PT sessions as well, maybe a few condition sessions. They've been to the run clubs. They've had so many touch points. They've built such a good accountability system for themselves. They've nailed the lunch. They've nailed the steps. They're at a point in 4 weeks where like, geez, I can't believe who I am in 4 weeks' time. They hop on the in-body scanner then, and obviously if they've done all them things, it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
And we've just completely transformed someone in 4 weeks. And they're like, geez, if that's 4 weeks, like what can I actually do here? And it just completely changes their own self-belief. And I suppose that's worked really well for us. And as you're saying earlier on, putting one person in charge of that has been crucial, because if everyone was doing that, it'd be a mess.
Yeah, I was about to say, look, because it sounds like a lot of work in terms of the amount of back and forth communication. So you've got, how many people do you have on trial at
37 at the minute.
So you've got 37, you've got 21 touch points.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of back and forth going on.
Yeah. But then the numbers, they work out. So it's like...
Yeah. So actually it gets you the result. But also you've got someone who is... Are they also coaching?
Yeah. So probably
are their hours reduced?
Yeah, a little bit less.
Okay.
So and obviously a lot less long-term clients.
Yeah.
So the main focus day to day is the initial consultations, the 4-week reviews, and these emails. And then some coaching.
This job role seems to be a theme. Was this gymowner network that told you to have this person? Because I've spoken to a number of people recently, and they've all got this person who's got this one responsibility, or their core responsibility, to look after the front end to back end, which I'm seeing more and more of. But it seems to me to be coming from the gymowner network people. So like credit to Jens and Ollie for that. And it just seems to be working really, really well in terms of conversion rates.
Yeah, it's just like... For that coach, obviously, it leaves their not their life simple with that going on, but it leaves their focus more refined. But also for me, in terms of like trying to oversee everything and know my numbers and know where everyone's at and like make sure everyone's being looked after, having only one coach to communicate with about 6-week trials makes the whole thing a lot easier. Yeah,
and so on that Monday, you sit down with Katie and you say, how's everything going? And then is there a cadence to that meeting? Is it informal? What does
yes, it's like? 11:30 every Monday, basically. Half an hour to 45 minutes. We have like a KPI sheet with every member's name in. We also have a box that's ticked off when they've replied to their... So there's 21 boxes after everyone's name, and they've replied every day. So we actually give them a score, and it's like, right, so...
What software are you using to track
Sheets.
that? Okay, just Google Sheets.
Yeah.
Just like, so every trialist, name's in a sheet, is it ticked off?
Yeah. And then there's like a thing after that in terms of like, did they convert on week 4? If not, then like just like a little box we take. So we keep an eye on that one sheet, and then we just remove people from that sheet as they convert and put them on to like the long-term membership.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is manual, but I think like, if that's someone's job and they can handle it, and it's obviously brought our conversion nearly 50% higher, it's worth having.
Well, I think it's good that it's manual, because
it's personable.
You can have too many automations for sure.
Yeah.
And I think also people can tell when you get automations,
100%.
and it's not as personable, right? People know that if they're speaking to a human or not, and it's you're offering a personal service.
Personal training.
And the fact is that you can have a person that is accountable for that. Automation's not going to be accountable for that. So having that person that is purely focused, but also someone that can adapt to the individual, right? Because you've just said, like, if that client's having a problem with X, Y, and Z, they can then help them. So an automation can't do that, really. They can't really assess this situation and say, hey, maybe they need to have a chat, or maybe we need to get them into different times of sessions, or whatever it may be. But she can. So she can really adapt to those people and just make sure that the highest amount of people are coming through.
Yeah, no, it's and it gives, like, if someone's first experience with Embassy is that really high touch, like, personal experience, it's just like a lot of them are amazed with it, because I've never had anything like that before. So yeah, I think it's working quite well.
And what does the conversation at week 4 look like? Is it a phone call? Is it a meeting?
They come in 15 minutes, 20 minutes, so they can do...
Do you have like a consult room? Or
Yeah, so we have a consult room. It's basically our office and our consult room in a sense. It's got our in-body scanner.
Nice.
We have our desk, all that crack. We have our prices deck and all that crack. So yeah, we have a chat. First of all, just like really informal chat, like how you getting on, just basic stuff. To break down any kind of tension. People come to the gym especially still in 4 weeks, and into a consultation room, and it's like going to an exam you haven't studied for, you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So just break down in there, have a bit of a chat first, and just basically discuss how you've been getting on the last 4 weeks. Now, obviously, Katie's had a lot of touch point with them before that, so they've been in touch. She kind of knows, but just to get a bit of conversation going. Then usually the in-body scanner, so we see how the results went, and then we have kind of the data from the Accelerator, the data from what they've told us in terms of how they're getting on, how we've seen they're getting on. We also track their attendance, and you have the data from the in-body. And if everything's really good, I guess like why not stay with us?
Yeah.
If they're enjoying it.
Is it Katie that conducts that meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So she is selling them into.
Yeah. So effectively, it's the second sale. In a sense, but yeah.
Does she receive any sort of bonuses for percentage wise or
no? Not currently, but it's something we're going to look at.
Yeah.
Because it is quite an intensive role.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So when initially put Katie onto that, we upped the salary straight away because it's quite intensive compared to just coaching the floor.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely a bonus or something like that is something to definitely bring in.
Yeah.
I don't really understand that stuff too well yet, and I want to understand it fully myself first.
Yeah.
But 100%.
Yeah. And so Katie basically just deals with all the front end people and looks after those people there as well. And then you have now, we spoke about you selling initially, but you have now delegated that role, which in my opinion is actually harder than selling itself, is to get someone to sell at the same level, if not better than you, because that's when you're kind of living the dream right there. So how long, what was the name of your salesperson?
Sophia.
How long has she been selling for you now?
We're talking from May.
Okay.
May to now, so May to August.
Do you know like how many sales she's making a month?
Yeah, so we're averaging probably 5 a week on average.
Okay.
A good week could be 7, 8.
Great.
And then we never really did below 4.
Amazing. And so you've got someone that's bringing around 20, give or minimum.
Yeah, I think we've been around like 20 to 24
Nice.
in the last few campaigns.
That's so good. And then obviously with that conversion rate recently being at 80%, and you're growing.
We've had a fair growth rate in the last, like since we kind of, as I said, that was Q2, we kind of had the issues. Since that, we've kind of accelerated. I think we were maybe at 80, start of Q2, we were like 60 something members. We got it up to like maybe high 70s, and then since that we've just kind of accelerated forward, so we fixed all them little things.
How did you find Sophia?
She actually came with a CV to the gym.
Okay.
Just looking for like desk work.
So she came just looking for desk work.
Yeah.
So she wasn't a salesperson before?
No, I think she done a sales job during COVID.
Yeah.
I think maybe for like 3E or some of them companies, just like a random sales job. But not in terms of selling something like what we sell. Not the same really thing. Like more so just like selling broadband and stuff like that. So it's a lot of it's a big difference in the conversation.
Yeah.
But the first thing I done was when we got Sophia onto sales was I sent her to you guys.
Nice.
For the boot camp.
Oh, so she came to sales boot camp. Was that in Dublin?
That was in Dublin.
Yeah,
just before the mastermind.
Yeah. So when we do our client-only masterminds for people who are listening and maybe not aware of what we're talking about, the day before we'll do a sales training with Luke, where it's a whole day of sales intensive. We also do it once a month now here at the office. But so you brought her to that, which is quite cool because you don't need to really train her up. You just send her there and she just learns how to sell basically.
Yeah, and she picked it up like that.
Yeah.
Really well. And now obviously she's like refined that kind of call herself. And obviously that's been an increase in sales too. As was confidence in selling it. But as you mentioned earlier on, confidence in knowing what she's selling works is everything. And I think we always bring Sophia to like our coaching CPD meetings and like any meetings that we have around coaching, because I think she needs to know how it's doing as well.
Yeah.
Just even in the back of her head. And because we've done so well lately in terms of like the coaching, the sales have went up as well. And obviously that'd be to do with like better qualified leads and stuff like that as well. But I do think confidence in knowing that like, geez, when I'm telling the person on the phone here it's happening is really happening out there. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, and at FMA, so we have a sales meeting once a week on a Monday, and every time, and this is what I recommend that everyone should be doing in a sales role, like we're looking at the wins of clients, whether it's a recent win that someone's posted, whether it's a podcast clip or episode of someone that we're speaking to. I think it's so important for that person in the role to be visually seeing wins every single week in the business, whether that's a transformation or something really cool that they've achieved. You should be celebrating those, and not just with the coaches. The salespeople should be informed of those as well, because again, it goes back to them being confident in the product. And when they're confident, that's when they can ask those difficult questions and not do it and do it feeling good.
Yeah. 100%. Even people like relate back to someone's like, oh, I've got this issue and it's like X and Y. And then if Sophia knows about somebody in the gym who's had that issue as well and done really well in a recent transformation, they're like, oh, we've had this guy and he's just literally done this and he came to the call at the exact same position as you are and now he's here. That gives the person the phone confidence, like, there's people like me in the gym. So by her being really involved in what we do, it just makes, it
could be like someone like, oh, it sounds good, I've got a really bad knee, I'm not sure. It's like, hey, like Paul came to us and he had a terrible knee, and not only did he get great results, his knee feels better since working with us. We're pretty, based on what you've told me, I'm pretty confident that if you come into the gym, we can actually help you do you know what I mean? So it just knocks it away if you have an example of someone else like that straight away. It's not even like an objection or it's a dispute, it's just battered away like that, and then there's no hesitancy there.
Just proof. Yeah. But I think and also having me off sales, like let's say if I'm there in the dumps about like something that's happened in the business or whatever it is, and I'm on a sales call and I'm just like really stressed out that week because obviously I have to look at everything, that's going to come across on the phone too, whereas Sophia doesn't have to deal with all that crack, and she can just be on the phone, like get herself ready for a call, be in a good mood, and it leaves everything a lot like their first touch point even better. Like that's what you said, like pretty better than me, 100% better than me.
Is she at that point now? Would you think she's better than you at sales now?
Probably. But I think like, just because she's doing it more often, I do the odd sales call, Sophia's on holidays or something like that there, and like when I'm about to hop on a call, I'm like, she's haven't done this in a while, you know, I'm trying to set yourself up.
Yeah, you got that sales rust.
Just like but once you get on the phone, it's the same thing over and over. But she's doing very well.
You got 17 members?
Oh, 8. Well, it's 8 including me.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And before, when it was open gym, it was low touch.
Yeah.
How many team members do you have then?
3.
Okay, so you've over doubled the team.
Yeah.
And in a 9-month period as well. So that could be a challenge for 2 people, but you've increased to 4 people in quite a short period of time. So how has that process been of hiring, of onboarding? I imagine there's been some lessons learned along the way.
Yeah, that's been a big shift for me personally, definitely.
Stepping up into a leadership role.
Yeah, confidence in leadership, and like because obviously I'm quite young and all the team are quite young.
How old are you?
24.
Fair play.
Yeah, so
mate, you're doing some cool things.
Yeah, I don't know. I stopped drinking and just started doing other stuff.
And just started, yeah.
But once I got to college, I was like, right, let's do something. But I actually dropped out of college to do this.
Really?
That's what happened. Yeah. But because the team are quite young. There's nobody actually. Well, Sean and I was actually a little bit older than me in the team. None of the rest of the team are older than me. They're all younger. So
just kind of sorry, say 24.
Yeah, 24.
24, and you've got a business that does $500,000 a year. That's very, very impressive.
Yeah.
And again, like there's people that are in the much older that don't have a business of that size. And what this is kind of moving away from the progression we've going on with the gym, but I think you clearly possess some attributes that have given you this success. And something you said is like you stopped drinking. What sort of attributes do you think you have that have been able to help you make this so much progress in such little time? It's hard to like big yourself up, right?
Yeah, not good at that. I can go without sleep.
Yeah.
I can get locked in and stuff. Do you know what I mean? When I want to do something, I'll give it to myself. I can, like a typical day for me, if we're in a growth phase, which I try to always be in, is I'm up at like 5 and I'm not bed till 9 or 10 usually, and I'm pretty much working all day.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I've kind of refined it now to be more productive in what I'm doing, but it's like, right, what am I doing today in marketing, what am I doing in sales, what am I doing in team? And if I can nail all those things and make sure the team can do their job, I've got good at that. But for me, it's learning that, it's learning to delegate, whereas like I probably would have the ability to do most of it myself, weirdly, in a weird sense. And I'd burn out in 2 weeks and I'd have to sleep for a week, but I can really lock in on things.
So it sounds like discipline, focus, consistency. And then the thing that I've picked up from this conversation is that you listen to others and you implement and you listen like almost like, I don't mean this in a bad way, but like you listen blindly in terms of like you go to Jens and you trust and you say, do this. And you're like, yep, I'm going to go do this. You do the FMA, you implement, and then there's no resistance to the thing that you've done. You just go and do it. And that's why you're getting the results. That's kind of what I've picked up from.
I think being young helps that too, because there's nothing to unlearn in a sense. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not stuck in my ways because I don't have ways previous to this, really. Like I've only started PT or SGPT 9 months ago myself.
Yeah.
And now I'm teaching other people how to do it, which is weird. but obviously PTing myself before that 1-to-1. But I think the fact that I can just take information on board and implement it without having to think or like how that conflicts with what I used to do, or this is the way I do things, or we're not open long enough to be stuck in our ways, which means like because we're all quite young, we can adapt very fast. And I suppose I just like, and because the team are quite young, they can do that too. So I can go to Jen's or you guys, whatever, and get some information, take it back, and everybody's pretty much on board to implement it. There's nobody like, no, this is the way we do things here. There's none of that. It's like, right, cool. I mean, sometimes it's like, geez, Dean, will you ever calm down?
Yeah.
But it's usually like it's in place pretty fast. So as I said earlier on as well, like being able to do something in 5 minutes that takes other people 5 weeks is a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
And I don't mind change. I love change. I get stressed out if I don't have anything changing around me.
Yeah.
So maybe that's an attribute. I don't know.
I think that it's definitely an entrepreneurial attribute, because you're either going to change it for good or burn it down.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
That's what I see as like the entrepreneurial curse. People get bored and like tear stuff down, or they use that proactively and build something big. Better.
Yeah, I think as Jens and Matt call it, an entrepreneurial hand grenade.
Yeah,
that's the way they put it. But and it's true. And I know people a lot of people like that. So I kind of see that myself too. Like when things are going really well, I'm like, there's not enough issues to solve. So I have to find something else to make a mess of. But maybe that's kind of what it is. But I suppose like I've always been kind of just like competitive in a sense of like not with other people, but like I always want to get better.
Yeah.
And I've done bodybuilding and CrossFit and all them things too, and I'm the same when I do all that sort of stuff, you know. I get too focused, but it works sometimes.
What age did you stop drinking?
Probably like realistically like around 19, 20. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
so like 4 years, like
yeah, like well, I wouldn't say I stopped drinking. Like, if a wedding on this weekend, I'll have a bottle. Of
I gotcha.
Whereas a lot of people like through college and stuff, obviously I dropped out of college, would have went out every single night of the week. I kind of get into sport and like gym and stuff like that, and just like I can't be arsed. I think I started boxing competitively in Maynooth College, which was the first university I went to, and for that like I was cutting weight and stuff, and I just got out of the whole going out scene and stuff. And I just nearly couldn't re-enter it.
Well, that's because a lot of people, in their early 20s are going out every weekend, but that's just not your scene.
Not anymore, no. And it was like when I was like 18, 19 and that, I was mental, but I just kind of got out of it, and then I nearly couldn't re-enter it. I just was like, it's not for me. I got used to getting up early in the morning, training and feeling good, and it just. And then when I started the gym, and I just kind of really got so focused on like growth and like everything that it's not for me.
Yeah.
And I only get like that. Me going out for a weekend and not working is more stressful for me than working. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, just the way I am, I suppose, that way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool, mate. I think what you've done at your age is very, very impressive. So you've hyped me up. I think that's so cool. And going back to the team, so you took on a lot of people. Was that a big challenge for you, taking on so many people? Like, what were the initial challenges you found, like having that team?
Probably confidence in myself as a leader, definitely, because like I do feel quite young. I am quite young.
Yeah, and so did you feel you lacked the confidence before? And what did the lack of confidence result in terms of behaviours as a leader?
Probably not being direct enough initially, do you know what I mean? And because we're all quite young,
kind of like people pleasing in a sense.
And being like not too friendly, but being like not being harsh when not being direct when stuff wasn't being done how it should be done, and kind of tiptoeing around things and trying to be the nice guy. And I'm still a nice guy, but trying to be I suppose like I'd be like, no, I'll fix it myself, and I wouldn't want to upset someone and be like, nah, actually I'll just go behind and fix that myself, instead of asking people to do their job, essentially, do you know? Which is still a challenge. I don't think anyone wants to really confront someone and be like, you're not doing something properly, but it's learning how to do that in a really constructive way. And it's kind of like going back to the sales thing in a weird way. It's like you're not offending somebody, you're just kind of trying to help them get better, but sometimes you have to take a more direct route to that. To get there effectively. I'm still learning massively. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think that has just been through experience, but again, it hasn't been a huge amount of time to that? Is it also potentially like things through the gymowner network? Because I know that their approach in a good way is very direct, and that's how you are spoken to from that mentorship point of view. So do you think that has helped you? Like, do you think they've helped you with your leadership skills?
Definitely. If Jen is watching, I'm trying to get like him. Very down the middle, but it's really constructive. That's the thing. So it's like if Jens comes at you with something direct, or anybody in that kind of manner, it's not to tear you down. It's to show you in the quickest way possible where you're going wrong and how to get better. and that's what I'm trying to learn, you know. And it's like by not telling someone that, you're potentially holding them back in their own progression.
Yeah, it's like there's a difference in being kind than being nice.
Yeah.
Like being nice is kind of people pleasing, but sometimes to be kind, you have to tell the truth. And sometimes that hurts, but that's like the right thing to do.
Anytime I've probably grown massively, I've been told I'm doing something incredibly wrong. Do you know what I mean? And nearly off the kind of pushback from that, I'm like, right, I need to change something here.
Yeah.
So I think being confident enough to be that person for somebody else, or be that leader for somebody else, is important for them too. So yeah, it's like, if not being direct, it's not really like what would the word you use for it? It's not really like selfish, because I don't want to expose myself to that, but I'm actually holding somebody else back from progression.
When someone is direct with you in that capacity, when there's growth, how do you feel at that time, and how do you take it? Because like there's some people that don't like criticism, you know, but like that's potentially another attribute I see of you. Like someone's direct with you, but you just take it and listen and run with it.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to be a bit like initially a bit like hot.
Yeah. Everyone, but is it almost like is it meant to a little bit, because that's because it has impact, right?
Yeah,
that makes you think.
100%.
If it didn't have impact, would it make you think?
Yeah, like if let's say I went to you guys and I was like, right, I'm not selling these leads, they're bad quality leads, and you guys are like, oh yeah, they're bad quality leads, that's fine. I'd continue thinking that. Yeah. Whereas if you were like, hold on a second, like how many times are you ringing these people? Like, what's the conversation? Like, are you actually doing what you should be doing? And for me initially, I could be like, oh, do you know what I mean? But that's gonna be a trigger point for me to change. Yeah. And like we said earlier on, that could be me making a change in 5 minutes rather than learning again in 5 weeks. I should have made the change when I was told to make the change. Yeah. So yeah, and it'd be let's say you doing me an injustice by not doing that initially, because you'd be stopping my progress. Yeah,
so
that's it's being that
you're
person.
You're like being nice in the short run, but actually you're doing someone a disservice in the long run.
100%. And like staff and stuff are going to move on to their own careers eventually and stuff too. So you want people to leave you in the best possible place as well. So, you know, I'd love if someone's like CV, if they're going for a different job at some stage, if somebody's seen embassy on their CV, they'd be like, oh, incredible. Do you know what I mean? So by making sure that person's at that level, it helps them as well. Do you know?
And what does going back to the team, like what does CPD look like with the team, and how are you progressing them, developing them as individuals? I know you said you have one-to-ones on a Monday every week. So
Monday's like one-to-one day. It's like we do, the main team of that session is like a cohort report. So we look at that coach's cohort, see how everyone's getting on, if there's any at-risk clients, anyone doing really well. If they need me to help them coach anybody, like I've got an issue with Sam over there and he needs this and like I don't know what to do, I can help them with that. But also just check in with them, how you getting on? Do you know, is there anything you need? Is like, and let's say through that conversation, it's like, right, you're struggling with like nutrition coaching. Let's have a look at what courses we can maybe look at for you, or if I can like do up some Loom videos for you or something like that. But that's typically on a one-to-one basis, and that's very individual depending on what they're struggling with at that time. But also like in terms of like coaches' progressions. So let's say if we take somebody in, I've had I think 2 or 3 coaches now go through their initial coaching course. So like level 1 with PFCA. Let's say 6 months time and they're doing really well. It's like, right, cool. Do you want to do the FFC courses and advance that way? So everyone gets their own individual CPD, but then every Wednesday we have a CPD meeting at 8 o'clock. So after the first 2 condition sessions, and that's basically like, right, so what are we struggling with as a team at the minute? And how can we all kind of hive mind together to as an overall business? So it could be marketing 1 week, like that. We took the team down to that branding place. It could be that. Nice. We're hoping to get down to someone who's really good with like stress management and stuff like that as well. Yeah. For the individuals themselves in the team, but also for coaching, that sort of stuff. And it just depends on kind of where we're at as a business and where we're at as individuals and where we need help. That's like a group kind of CPD. But yeah, largely on an individual basis, but also just getting everybody together to talk about things as well. So yeah. Yeah.
And what does the hiring process look like for these people that have come in? And I'm sure you're maybe going to hire more people in the future. What does that process look like for you guys?
So I suppose everyone that's come in so far, it's been a bit different because we're still like, I'm learning how to do it, you know? Yeah. So initially the first hire, well, one of the girls, Mary, who's with us, she was with us in the old gym too. She'd done a bit of desk work, so she literally just came up again, was asking have we got any work, and we were like, yeah, cool, you can work behind your desk, cover some hours, that sort of stuff. Since that, then we put her through the PT course and she got qualified, and now she does a bit of coaching. So that's kind of her route of progression. There was no real interview. It was like we kind of knew Mary anyway, she was local enough, and that was basically it. Then Katie was my first coaching hire. So Katie was actually my training partner. We'd done like ATEXs together and stuff like that. And she wasn't a coach, but she is after getting a master's in nutrition. So she's really into the kind of fitness and all that crack. So I put her through the course as well. And she was the first coach in the new facility alongside me for PT. So she's relatively newly qualified. At the minute, she's doing like her thesis and stuff for the master's. So there's been no courses since, but the hope is to get her as advanced as possible. She's really, really flying with everything she's doing at the minute. So yeah, with her there was no interview too, because I just knew her. I knew she was very passionate what she done. She already knew a lot of the community in the gym. So it was just kind of it was a pretty easy, like it was more like a merge rather. It was obvious,
it was like rather than a CV interview process.
When I was thinking of like, right, how am I gonna grow this thing, or like who am I gonna hire, I was like straight away, I was like, I have to get Katie. She's good at. And so
then, she kind of like your right hand.
Yeah, in terms of coaching, definitely. Yeah, 100%. And then since that, I've kind of went down the route of like application. So we actually pushed out like kind of like Media 365, like €5 ad spend on like we're hiring an embassy, and we just get people to fill in like a type form.
Nice.
So you have a list of people there. And I just it's like I call it like stage 1 of the application. Then you'll be contacted if there's a role, and you can kind of put in like your experience and all that crack. So the last few have been kind of from that. And then basically I hop on a Zoom call with them, have a quick chat, see what they've done before, and more so just to kind of. I'm not really, because I've actually dropped out of college myself, I'm not really concerned too much about like what you've done education-wise. As long as you are really into your fitness, passionate about it, a nice person, you are qualified, it's more down to like, right, how is this person going to fit into embassy and the community? If they're qualified, perfect, and they know their stuff, that's obviously essential. It's like having like good equipment in the gym, but like what's the energy like? What are they going to be like with the community? How are they going to fit with the rest of the team? So it's more of a conversation. And then, from there, it's like come in, get onboarded in the gym. So I kind of have like an SOP for coaching.
Yeah, and what's the onboarding like for?
Yeah, so Jack actually is the newest hire. He's done his onboarding this week. So he came in on Monday. And the first thing we done with Jack was to come down and we actually done a performance review on one of the other coaches coaching. And I was kind of like spotting like.
So he watched another performance review?
Yeah, so basically when I was doing a performance review for, I think it was actually Dara was coaching, he's up beside me. And I was like, right, so this is why I'm ticking this box, see why he's doing this, and he's being loud and he's being clear and he's taking this client aside because she's new, and see how he welcomed everybody and just kind of showing him what I look for. And then I just let him watch the next few sessions himself. So I was actually doing consultations. Then I took him in and ran through like, I have like this coaching SOP where it's like from what happens and first thing you come in the door, you look at cooks, you see who's in, you kind of identify members, the whole journey of coaching, I guess. That was all on Monday. Then he came in and he joined us for CPD on Tuesday to meet the rest of the team and just kind of get a feel for what we're about. And then I got him to shadow some of the condition sessions just to kind of get a feel of that too. And then he actually coached with me yesterday all day long, meeting like most of the members across what we have yesterday, like 7 PT sessions, and like seeing how I coach and just how you move around the room and how you talk to people and how you get the energy going, and like we fist bump everyone at the end. More of like a kind of introduction to the culture. And then next week I'll start kind of moving myself out of that role as he kind of gets more kind of into the role of leading the session himself. And obviously he'll get a lot of CPD one-to-one with me in terms of how we do check-ins and all this sort of stuff over the next week. But I suppose like really hands-on start, no coaching, then a little bit of coaching alongside one of the coaches and myself, and then sort of let them.
And what's the time frame between them starting the onboarding and then them coaching sessions by themselves?
Solo. It depends on the person, really, I suppose. I'd like to have them being able to take a session in like 3 or 4 weeks themselves, definitely. If not short, if the person's really, really good. But I would still be like either them they'd be coaching alongside a very experienced coach, or I'd be the next coach over in the next slot, so I still keep an eye. But generally they pick it up quite fast, and we've been lucky with that, you know. But I suppose it's a process I'm still trying to refine, not to make it more automated, but make it more clear, I think.
Yeah.
You know, but again, I'm only 9 months into it. I'm still trying to learn these things myself, you know.
And so you said that as the current setup, small group is probably near capacity now?
Yeah, it really is a capacity. Our only like kind of free slots, I guess, this stage are like kind of way off peak, and there could be only 2 or 3 depending on the day. So we need to move.
I got you. So with that said, what are the kind of next steps for you and the gym?
Yeah, so basically, I don't know when this is getting released, but it might be some of it happening at that time. we are separating the open gym and the coaching gym into like two kind of separate entities or separate businesses, I suppose, just for more clarity on our end too.
Yeah.
But the goal is to have the open gym probably better even than it is, and upstairs in our current facility, because we, as I said earlier on,
so you're going to put another floor.
Yeah, mezzanine floor. So we
yeah.
have a very, very high warehouse. It was built for warehousing originally, so it's quite high, so we can comfortably fit a second floor in there. And the open gym will have its own entrance outside, kind of an automated system, like a kind of pure gym style model, low touch. Basically just maintain really good quality of hygiene standards, like equipment standards, and just let people belt away who want to work away themselves, because there's a market for that too. Not everyone wants to be coached. Do you know what I mean? People just want to go in and clear their head sometimes and don't talk to anybody.
Yeah.
They come in with the hood up and the headphones on, and that's their thing, you know? So there is a market for that 100%, so I don't want to take that away. But I do want to clearly separate it from Embassy as a impactful coaching brand.
It's a bit like you said earlier, when people walk in currently, 100%. They see the open gym and it's got more bodybuilder vibe. So if you're a beginner and you come in, you're like, whew, yeah. This was the exact opposite of what I wanted.
Yeah.
But then they see it obviously when they come in. So now, I imagine once it's done, like the entrance will be.
Yeah. So the plan is for like, when I was describing earlier on, you walk in, you see the bodybuilding gym. Now it's like you walk in, there's gonna be obviously a lower roof because the open gym will be upstairs, but we'll have like a nice little lobby with seating and stuff like that, a nice reception area. The first thing you'll see is the PT zones, and then beyond that again will be the condition zones. So I don't even want beginners to be initially looking at someone sweating doing an engine session because they're like, geez, I couldn't do that. So you want them to see the PT first and have this nice lobby where, number one, it's kind of like it's a nice way to enter the building, but also on the way out, people can chill out and hang around and, you know, have a coffee or a chat with their friends or go for a walk and come back and sit down. So
creating a place to like hang out and
creating like a little hub for the community to kind of have their things, you know, because like a lot of the community after sessions anyway, they will go uptown in big groups of even up to 20 and go to coffee shops. Do you know what I mean? So if we could kind of keep that in house a little bit, it'd be sick. Do you know what I mean? Especially for weekends and like game days and stuff. Do you know? So
how in terms of community, the run clubs that you do, how have they been in terms of? Is it free for everyone?
Yeah. So anybody can come to the run club, but like for like it's been such a valuable marketing tool without needing any kind of marketing. If that's you know what I mean. So people just can freely come. They don't feel like they have to like be a member or like that. They're like, I feel like someone comes into the gym, they're like already kind of like, oh, it's a bit tense. Whereas they meet me outside the coffee shop on a run, I can have a far better conversation with them, and then they can come to the gym some more time because they've talked to me already. We've got loads of people from that. But
have you picked up members through the run club as well? Yeah,
plenty. Especially people like move to the area and they see there's this active group running around town. They're like, oh, cool, I'll join into that, and they realize it's associated with the gym. Like, oh yeah, I seen that gym. What do you do? And then you get a conversation. Next thing, a week later, down the gym and they've started. So it's been great, but also for the community to have like an extra free thing they can do with their friends. Essentially,
is it partnered with like a coffee shop or is it just
So
that's such a good idea.
It's called the Red Door Coffee Shop. So Barney Together owns that. We'd be kind of very similar in terms of values. Like his whole thing is like creating a community with his coffee shop as well, so it fits really well. So
a client of ours, you may or may not know him, called Trent Smith, does the same thing. I think it was really, really good. Who, like, I'm not sure whether, like, did you just come up with the coffee shop thing, or did someone give you that advice? Because
No.
you're the second person that I know of that has done the collaboration with the coffee shop.
Yeah. So basically, it was actually in the old facility.
Yeah.
When I had no way of creating community, I was like, I need to do something. So I done the run club. So a few of us would meet up on a Sunday morning, and we'd literally leave the gym and like do a 5K and come back to the gym. Then I was like, right, it's a bit, we're just coming back to the gym and doing nothing here. So we actually changed the route that it's 5K to the coffee shop. Yeah. So we just changed it directly, and only for the point of having someone to go and get a coffee and that. So we end up doing that, and then like I obviously know Barney that owns it quite well. His mother does the PT with us. We just know each other quite well. And we're like, right, if we kind of push this thing together, we could make it something big, because the town doesn't have it like this.
Yeah, I think it's such a good idea partnering with another local business, because they can, people who go for coffee there can join the run club 100%. From the run. Basically, it's like a bridge to the business.
Yeah, 100%.
And they can bring both ways, right? And it just feeds each other, and it builds more of a community. More people make friendships. You'll see people that do the run, then they sit and have a coffee together, 100%. And they never knew each other before. So it's such a good idea.
Like, I've seen myself, the run club starts at 8:30. I've seen myself in the coffee shop till 12 on a Sunday morning, just chatting to people. Everyone stays. Do you know what I mean? The run's like this little thing that happens at the start. It's more about the conversations after. You have people playing chess on the tables, and it's kind of weird. If someone walked in, they're like, what in the cult is this? But it's quite good, and it gives, like, especially people that move to the town, because there is like kind of rising industry and stuff, like companies and stuff in town. A lot of young professionals are either coming back from abroad to work here, or coming from different places, and I feel like it's like an easy way for them to ease themselves into like joining the gym, because they mightn't want to commit to it, but they might want to just kind of suss it out and see what the vibe is and stuff like that. So they can come in. They mightn't even talk to me the first day. I'll say hello to everybody, obviously, but they mightn't want to talk to me. They might be like, no, I'm not talking to him, because he's going to try and sell me a gym membership. But they might talk to some of the members, and they'll be talking about how good it is, and they'll be talking about the class done yesterday and the class doing tomorrow, and then next week they'll be over talking to me. Do you know what I mean? So it's just really like unsalesy method to get people in. Do you know what I mean?
And also, once a week, so I'm sure you run around the town. So basically, everyone, a lot of people will see like a group of people running collectively, and they'll notice that every week.
Yeah, and we got like run club merch and stuff too.
Yeah. And it's just like that offline marketing, and it all kind of feeds back into that bigger picture where maybe they see the run club, or maybe they're at the coffee shop and they see the run club taking place. They see a video online.
100%.
They opt in. They don't buy, but they see an email, and it's all this stuff that just builds together. And at some point, they may become a member, and it's just another thing that you're doing to contribute to that ecosystem.
100%. And again, like, it could be the fact that they become a member in 6 months' time, but it's like it's broken down the barrier for them. Do you know what I mean? It's put it in their head that, like, right, I really could fit in that place, and when the time's right, I will. Not everyone's going to be ready to go like that. So and you could literally have somebody come to the run club who's not a member, and they could be coming for 4 months, and you're like, right, this person's never going to be a member, but they're going to crack, and next thing to remember, because they're just like, oh cool, yeah, I'll do it. So yeah, and again, going back to having like a lifestyle business, for me, even having that on a Sunday morning, it's brilliant. I love that. And it's like work without work, you know. But the run club's been class.
That's awesome. And I think we'll go ahead. I think we've covered most bases. We'll probably go ahead and wrap up. But I want to finish on one final question, which is, you've had a lot of growth in quite a short space of time. What would you say is the biggest lesson that you have learned that you would give to someone else who is looking to grow, looking to start, looking to build something bigger and better? What is something that you've taken from your experience over the last 9 months, maybe a bit longer, of advice that you would give to other people?
Yeah. I think going back to what I just said about making sure that you're actually enjoying it too, and it's going in a direction that you want it to, and you're not just chasing somebody else's idea of a great business, because at some point you're just not going to want to do that anymore. Yeah. Do you know? And I kind of did get caught up in that a little bit as well. But also, we touched on all this already anyway, but finding people out there who have battered down the doors for you, like yourselves, like in terms of like the way the gym kicked off, if I hadn't went with FMA at the start, it'd be a whole different path. Do you know what I mean? If I hadn't done that gym launch campaign, if I hadn't had Jens that advised me on how to do SGPT and like what's the best model and like how to hire staff and all that sort of stuff, has been incredible. Find the people out there who are the experts, and just listen to them, because they're not taking the piss. Yeah,
and we've mentioned Gymowner Network a number of times. So we're partners with those guys. Yeah, which is why it's a good collaboration 100%. Between us and between them as well, because they massively help with the service, with delivery, and so much more. And then we help with the marketing and sales, and then obviously the guys at Black Box helping with the equipment. So 100%. You've kind of got like an A-star team on your side.
It's like having a board of directors only. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, and like I know a lot of people like would have asked me and stuff like, oh, how is the Gym Owners Network? And like especially like the FMA events might ask, or it could be a Gym Owners Network event and they're asking, oh, how's the FMA? And one like anybody, like one of the biggest things, like, oh, it costs X amount per month or whatever it is. It's like, yeah, it does, but like you're gonna like exponentially grow from this. Like it doesn't really, not that it doesn't matter, but like if you actually commit to it, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, from an investment point of view, the more money you spend, the more money you make.
If you do what you're told.
If you do what you're told, that's it. Like that's the whole purpose of the game, is to make more money from it. And if you follow the advice, you will make money.
It's like getting a coach.
Yeah,
do you know, you can
get an online coach. Like if I don't follow the advice, I won't get the result. Yeah. But if I do, I will. It's really that
there's
simple.
Values in the implementation. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know it's going to work if you work.
Yeah.
You know,
That's it. Well, again, thank you so much for coming down the podcast. Man. It's been epic to listen to your story and everything you've done at such a young age as well. I'm really surprised by like what you've accomplished in a good way.
Yeah.
Because it's awesome, and you're doing really, really good things, and it's been great to be a part of that journey and to help you guys, and looking forward to helping you take it to the next level as well.
Been great working with you, and can't wait to do some more cool shit.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for coming down.
Cool, man. Appreciate it. Savage.
Thanks for listening to the Fitness Marketing Agency podcast. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe so you can catch future episodes.